Good afternoon, America. I'm Erickson. Thanks for tuning in to the 4 things you need to know this afternoon. These are the things you need to know before you get home today. Let's get right to them. Up first, our first story centers on President Trump's escalating frustration with Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Over the past several weeks, Trump has openly criticized Powell for refusing to lower interest rates. His latest beef? A $2.5 billion renovation project at the Federal Reserve, which the president suggests is a fireable offense. Jerome Powell, for his part, has asked the Inspector General to look into the project. Now, the president allegedly has met with House Republicans on Tuesday night, according to a lot of those Republicans, and he asked whether or not he should fire Powell. Lawmakers in the room gave him the green light. While the president has yet to make a final decision, White House officials had signaled Powell could be removed soon and said the president already wrote a letter to dismiss him. The legal basis for firing the Fed chair remains uncharted territory. By law, the president can only fire the Fed chair for cause. It sounds like the building renovation is the cause he's looking for. It's a move that could lead to a major court fight and shake the markets. In fact, the Supreme Court has already readdressed the Fed's independence and said the Federal Reserve Chairman cannot just be fired without cause. But at noon today, despite multiple reports based on his conversations last night with lawmakers, the president publicly said he had no plans to fire Jerome Powell. Markets began diving on the news of a possible firing and began to recover after the president dismissed the idea. Wall Street veterans warn any White House attempt to interfere with the independence of the Fed could have long-term negative consequences. When central banks are forced to bend to politics, confidence in U.S. monetary policy and the dollar's reserve status worldwide quickly unravel. Now, I realize partisans will say Jerome Powell is helping the Democrats. Keep in mind, Democrats said Jerome Powell was helping the Republicans. Accountability matters, but so does safeguarding the reliability and independence of our financial institutions. If the Fed is reduced to just another political arm of the White House, every administration, regardless of party, will be tempted to tinker with interest rates whenever it suits them, risking runaway inflation or deeper recessions. As the president noted today, Powell has 8 months left and President Trump can replace him then. That's what he should do. Second up, if you fly Delta like I do, I spend a lot of money with them. The price of your next ticket might be set by artificial intelligence instead of a human analyst. Delta Airlines is ramping up its use of AI to dynamically set ticket prices, aiming to have AI influence pricing on up to 20% of its domestic flights by the end of 2025. Right now, about 3% of flights use the system, developed with the Israeli tech firm Fetcher. The AI crunches real-time data, demand, timing, your travel habits, and more to personalize pricing for individual travelers. The company says this will offer the right ticket at the right price, but critics warn it could mean higher prices for customers who are willing or desperate to pay more. As Delta's president puts it, the airline wants to replace static prices with an always-learning super analyst that runs nonstop adjustments and offers on the fly. I suspect this is a way to screw consumers, frankly. From a consumer and a conservative lens, the bottom line is technology can drive efficiencies and boost profits. Delta's within their right to do it, but it can make pricing less transparent for the average traveler. If airlines use AI to extract every nickel from customers without oversight, it's a short dash from smart innovation to digital exploitation, and digital exploitation is what I suspect Delta's doing here. We should be optimistic but cautious about the future, and I'm not really optimistic about where this heads with the airline industry. Our third story is about a major federal lawsuit filed. 20 states, most led by Democrats, have sued the Trump administration over its decision to end FEMA's Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities, or BRIC program. Created in 2018, BRIC already allocates nearly $4.8 billion for projects like flood walls, storm shelters, and grid improvements, funding up to 75% of the cost for thousands of communities nationwide. State officials say FEMA's abrupt cancellation of BRIC was unlawful, violated past congressional authorizations, and is putting lives and property at risk ahead of another hurricane and wildfire season. The lawsuit seeks to reinstate BRIC funding and halt the administration's plan to cut out FEMA's pre-disaster mitigation work. The White House has argued BRIC had become wasteful and politicized. Was, by the way, a program set up by Donald Trump in his first term. A number of Republican and Democratic mayors warned that without prevention dollars, communities face steeper costs when it comes to the next disaster. Fiscal responsibility is important, but so is efficient governance. Canceling programs that genuinely protect Americans from future disasters, especially those already budgeted by Congress, risks being penny wise and pound foolish. The administration needs to be careful. If they can reform the program instead of kill it, it might actually be beneficial long term and ultimately save us money. Finally, President Trump is publicly rebuking some of his own supporters for demanding more information about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. In back-to-back posts, President Trump called his critics, quote, weaklings and former supporters. He accused them of falling for what he calls the Epstein hoax, and even says he no longer wants their support, and says he never engaged in the conspiracy theories about Jeffrey Epstein. The rift comes amid increasing pressure from within the MAGA movement and some congressional Republicans for the Justice Department to release more documents related to Epstein's activities and alleged associates. Trump's own Justice Department, however, stated the long-rumored Epstein client list doesn't exist and that all legally possible documents had already been released. There is real concern, I should note, that if you release some of the names that actually weren't tied to Epstein inappropriately, you could damage people who just happen to know Epstein. For those who value transparency, it's a reminder that not every conspiracy is backed by facts, but also dismissing legitimate scrutiny can breed more skepticism. The bigger lesson is that trust is built by openly addressing real questions, not by silencing critics, even those within your own camp. The president would be wise now to call for a special prosecutor to actually dig in and see what can be released, what can't, and to explain what can't be released and why. These are the 4 things you got to know this afternoon before you get home. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/EW Erickson. It helps us grow. I am Erick Erickson. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged. As always, please keep the faith.